Hello, everyone. Welcome to my live on my YouTube page. Today, I wanted to chit chat with you all about When Hope Calls. Season 2 has come to an end as of yesterday, and I'm honestly feeling all the feels and feeling so, grateful and really blown away by all of the people who supported us throughout the season um and the work and the final product. I honestly was kind of seeing it at the same time as all of you, and yeah, it's just been incredible. So if you have any questions for me today, please let me know. Hello, everyone. Hi. And of course, I will be saving this live. So if you can't watch all of it, or if you're tuning in later, thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm just feeling so grateful, so overwhelmed with joy and love and optimism for the future. And hello, Angelique. Hello, Asama. Hello, Beverly. This is awesome. Yes, Osama, pink just for you. I just got this shirt actually. I love it. It's super comfortable and it's like a boyfriend cut. Yeah. So I have some questions here because I put a little question box on my hi Bev, all the way from Australia and Virginia. Oh, this is so great. Hi, Victoria. Oh, I love it. Okay, great. So I put a box in my Instagram account just to get some questions from all of you, because I know sometimes people can't be there right on time or they watch it later. So here we go. The biggest question, and yes, pink is my favorite color, obviously. It's the best. And Susie is sleeping right next to me on the couch. Yes, Philippines, what's up? Okay, so I got some questions, and the number one question I got from everyone, these are just a little bit of some of the comments that I received, which was, is there a season 3? Season 3, if so, will there be more episodes? The season was way too short. I agree. Season 3 question mark, season 3 next. I hope so. How soon will we know if there's a season 3? Hopes for season 3. I mean, these are just the comments about everyone wanting a season 3. And oh my gosh, am I there with you? I could not, thank you. Yes, fingers crossed for season 3. I could not tell you how excited I am to find out the news. I really have not heard anything yet. We're hoping in the next couple of weeks, but the powers that be that make these decisions are above and beyond what I do. But I am so excited to know if there's a season 3, and also there's a part of me that is so proud of the chapter that is season 2, and so grateful for that opportunity that I want to also relish in that moment and not just live in the future of what's to come, but also just embody the appreciation for what I'm experiencing right now with season 2. And everyone who has been watching, hello, Jody. Hello. Oh, I love having you all here. Beverly. I know, Bev, I really would love for the show to make it to Australia. I'm sure that it will at some point. At some point. The fact that Canada was able to watch it at the same time is so amazing. So, for all of you who are maybe watching this and don't know When Hope Calls, what are you waiting for? When Hope Calls is the show that I am on. It's on Great American Pure Flix. It's also on Great American Family. Great American Pure Flix is a streaming service. It's also available on Prime and Super Channel Heart and Home in Canada, which is very exciting. And if you go on PureFlix, the show is actually called Brookfield, a When Hope Calls story, just because people were getting a little bit confused as to season 2, because this is technically a season 2, because there was a season 1, which was on a different network, and it was like over 5 years ago. And so there's been a bit of a change. A bunch of new characters, a bunch of returning characters, and a bunch of characters that we said goodbye to for now. Who knows what the future holds? But yeah, it was really a wonderful experience being a part of the show. And that's why when you go on PureFlix, it'll be written just season 1, because it is the first season on A Great American Family and PureFlix. And it really is a new chapter of the show. You don't have to have seen season 1 to understand what's going on in season 2. So if you haven't watched already, you better get to it and watch it, because you're absolutely going to love it. It's everything. I mean, some of you I know have watched it. It's romance, it's action, it's drama, it's funny, it's heartwarming. It's all of the things we look for in shows, right? Okay, so next question that I have here is, should there be a season 3? What would you like to see for Nora and her storyline? Well, I mean, this is all like, obviously, I don't know what would happen, but what I would like, based on how the season ended, which was Nora finding out she might be in some kind of trouble, legal trouble, which, if you've seen the show, you know, Nora Anderson, my character, is a lawyer. So for a lawyer to be in a bit of law trouble, that puts you in a bit of a predicament. So we'll see what happens. But I'd love for her to have a little bit more drama, a bit more tension and worry. Obviously, she has a relation. She's developed a relationship with Mountie Michael Fletcher, and so, you know, the guy that she has feelings for is also a Mountie. She's a lawyer, so if she gets into trouble, the Mountie has to take action, and that's a very convoluted experience. So that'll be a bit of a struggle for her. But I kind of like that. Like, I love when characters have struggle and they don't know, you know, what's going to happen next for them. And I think Nora started off in a bit of a perplexed world at the beginning of season 2, because she was coming to Brookfield, the town, to connect with some family she never knew she had, Lillian. And so that was a bit of turmoil inside of her, of like, will I be accepted? Will she love me? She didn't know that I was her. And so that was a little bit challenging. But then throughout the season, it was kind of, you know, a little bit easier for her. So season 3, maybe we'll have a bit more struggle for Nora, which would be nice, I think. Yes, the cast has been so lovely, giving their time to all the chats, interviews, and promo on their personal Instagram, Facebook, etc. Thank you for saying that, Beverly. It really means so much. You know, because this is a new chapter and the show, you know, hasn't been on the air for over 5 years, and this is a new generation of the show, it was really important to us, the cast and the crew, to really give it our all and give it our heart, and make sure that we, you know, we tell all of you out there that the show is so incredible. And bye, Bev, see you later. To just do the best we could. And so that's why we made sure to promote as much as we could. And also because we're so proud of the show. And, you know, it's so fun to be an actor and to get to promote. What a privilege to get to promote a show such as this. So, okay, next question. Favorite moment of the season? Wow. Okay. Well, my favorite moment for Nora this season, I think I would say, I think I would say when her and Mountie Michael had their encounter with the gold the gold banker, the one that was trying to steal the gold from Sam, and I think that part was really fun because it had action and a stunt, and it kind of brought her and Michael closer together, which is really special. So I really like that scene. And there's a dog in the scene, which, you know, if anyone knows, I'm obsessed with animals. So that was a really great scene, a great moment for her. And a moment that allowed her and Mountie Michael Fletcher to come closer together, which is super special. And hi, Nicolas. Bonjour la France. Yeah, so that was a really cool moment for them to get closer together. But I also really loved all of my dinner scenes with the kiddos, the orphans. Like, they're just such a great group of kids. And they always made me laugh, and they're always in the moment, and they're always so present and so sweet. So yeah, I love those scenes. And as far as other characters, I really love the scene when Maggie and her mom in episode 2 had a really heartfelt moment, when her mom tells her that she's always looked up to Maggie, which is a really sweet moment between a mother and a daughter. And I just really loved that moment a lot. Yes, the dog was the icing on the cake. I agree. So those are some of my favorite moments. Of course, I love any scene with Ronnie in it. I mean, he's just hilarious, played by the one and only Neil Crone. I know Neil has had a lot of love from the show because he's just so funny. He's such a riot. No, you don't have the show in France yet, but I have hope that you will, because, you know, these shows always find their way all over, and hopefully they can, you know, get on a streamer, and you can see them all around the world, like Australia and France, and maybe it'll be dubbed as well, which would be cool. Okay. Next question I got, which was, what drew you to take on the project in the beginning? So initially, the project of When Hope Calls came my way. The first time was for season 1. So I had gotten an audition for the role, and it came so close. It was between like me and another person, and it didn't go my way. This was back in, like, I think 2018, which, as an actor, you know, you audition for things and sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it doesn't. And that's just the nature of the business. And, you know, you get disappointed and then you pick yourself back up and you get to it. I won't tell you what role it was, but it was a pretty important role. But as life would have it, you know, when things are meant to be, they just come back your way. And so this audition for the show came around in August 2024, last year. And I got the audition, and I was very busy at the time and couldn't really do the audition. And so I told my team that, you know, I was too busy and let me know if it, you know, can come back around. And then it did. It came back around. I think it was about 3 weeks later. And I was shooting my episode in season 18 of Heartland. And I was shooting that episode, and I got a message from my team saying, hey, can you put this on tape? They're still looking, etc. And I was like, okay, sure. Like, I'll tape it. So then I did. And then I found out a week later that I got the role. And I was really excited about it because getting to play a character in a period piece, first of all, is so special and so fun because you really get to take yourself out of this world and put yourself into another world. You know, When Hope Calls takes place in 1920. So completely different time. You know, it's like Brookfield, the town doesn't even have a phone, doesn't even have electricity. So this is like such a special thing to experience, what that would be like. And really, that was not that long ago, just over 100 years ago, which is amazing when you consider how much how much our world has changed in so little time. So I was excited about the costumes and the world and the town, and the fact that, you know, Nora Anderson is a lawyer who in 1920 was less than 1% of lawyers were women. Can you believe that? I truly, my jaw fell on the ground when I did a bit of research on that. And I mean, although not super surprising, but the 1920s were a really important time in a lot of the evolution for, women and women's rights, etc. So that was a really beautiful thing to get to bring to life in 1920s Elwoods. I love that. That's so great. All she needs is a chihuahua. I mean, Cindy has a chihuahua, but not Nora Anderson. That's a great story that I actually auditioned for the first season. I know. It was really like such a cool experience for it to come back around in such a different way, and sometimes it just goes to show you that the timing for things is really everything, right? Like at that time, it just wasn't meant for me, and I had other things to do and other projects to be a part of. And then when the timing was right, as fate would have it, here I am, and I'm just grateful for the adventure that is life. The adventure that we never see coming and that we have to continuously surrender to. And yeah, but what drew me to the project was honestly the people. Also the opportunity to be part of a series. I think that is the biggest takeaway for me. Is I've been looking to be a part of a series for a really long time. I've had the great privilege of doing a lot of rom-com movies throughout the years, and it's been so incredible. And you shoot for 3 weeks and you create a 2-hour movie, and it's so much fun. But I was wanting something that had more potential for longevity. And I've done series before, obviously Heartland. I was also on a show called Cedar Cove with Andy McDowell, and I was also on a show called Date My Dad, which lasted a season. And so when this came around, I was excited to see what it would be like to create a character arc over a long period of time, and um, what that would be like once again, and to work for a longer time and really work closely with the production team and the crew and the cast members. And this is really an ensemble cast. When Hope Calls is truly an ensemble cast where, we all have, there are so many storylines. And although I am the lead of the show, we all lead to some capacity our own storyline within the show, which is really, really special. So, and gosh, I can't say enough about the cast and crew on this show. Is just like unbelievably talented and kind and hardworking and funny and cool to hang out with. Like I just genuinely like was sometimes sad going back to my hotel because I was like, oh, I don't get to hang out. Or if like I had a day off, like as much as I wanted to sleep in, I was also like, oh, I'm not going to get to see my friends today. So it was definitely bittersweet when it came to an end. That is for sure. So those are kind of the things that drew me to the project initially. And, fingers crossed that I get to do it for years to come. That truly would be the greatest gift. And in fact, one of the questions that I got here was if there's a three, season three, would I be a part of it? And yes, I would be. I signed on to potentially do several years of the show. So if the show gets picked up, I will be a part of it, which is very exciting. So we can keep exploring what Nora Anderson's character will get up to, and all the other characters in Brookfield. So you're blessed to be in so many projects. Thank you, Osama. That's really sweet. I do feel that way. Absolutely. I definitely feel that way. Um, Next question I got was, I loved seeing you save Michael from a knife in episode 5. More fight scenes or stunts coming soon? I mean, I hope so. I always love doing like fun action sequences and stunts. And, um, I didn't really have much action personally as Nora. However, I did kind of like jump on the character's arm and hold him down while Mountie Michael could take his knife away, which obviously was not a real knife. Looked like one, but was not a real knife. And I love being a part of stunt scenes because it's done in such a way that is so first of all, it's so respected. Whenever there's any kind of weapon on set, it's taken very seriously. And, we want to make sure everyone is safe and ready to go. And that there's, so much protocol that needs to be followed. And then you have these incredible stunt men and women who show up and do such great work and really deserve so much, so many accolades, because they're truly incredible. And you don't see their faces, but you do see their bodies. And we have many stunt people on our show, and not just in that scene, but a lot of horseback riding and yeah, to make sure, even though a lot of the actors can ride horses or can do some stunts, you always want to make sure that no one gets hurt, because there's always room for injury, even in the stunt world. And so you want to make sure that everyone is safe, and therefore you don't want your actor, breaking their arm or whatever, and then they can't work for the next month. So it's always like you got to follow that kind of protocol, especially for insurance purposes on set and all that kind of thing. And yeah, so I would love for there to be more action. And if you watched episode 6, the finale of When Hope Calls, then you will know that there was a lot of action in that episode as well, which was like so cool. And my character wasn't really a part of a lot of that kind of action, like the cowboys and the Mounties and the ranchers, but it looked so good on screen. Gosh, I can only imagine what it was like to shoot those scenes at night in the dark with the horses and yeah, like it really like set a really good bar. Like it was super, yes, it was super intense. So, okay, next question. What was the cliffhanger supposed to mean with Tess and Jerry Huntsman? Tess played by the incredible Wendy Crewson, and Jerry Huntsman played by Jesse Hutch. So if you, spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear this, turn this off if you haven't watched episode 6. But yeah, the cliffhanger, I mean, we'll really find out in season 3 if we're so lucky to do it. But the cliffhanger, I think the way I see it is, Huntsman is upset. He didn't get the land that Hannah Lawrence was putting up for sale. He's seeking revenge. He was stealing the cattle, and he's coming back and taking matters into his own hands. And Tess was kind of a part of all that. And is there something deeper than that? We'll find out, hopefully in season 3. But it would definitely be a privilege to get to recount the rest of that story. But what an incredible way to end, to like the whole time you don't know who's stealing the cattle. There's all these other, hustlers and people stealing. Yes, the cliffhangers were so intense. I agree. And fun fact, we shot multiple endings. So that scene between Tess and Huntsman, there were, I think, like 3 alternate endings, and the original ending was the one you actually saw, but they had a couple alts just in case, depending on various things. And so they ended up going with the one that we were all very hopeful that they would go with, which is the one you all saw. So that was super cool to be able to do that. It was a really big season, and especially those last 2 episodes were 2 really big episodes that the crew and the production were actually a little bit nervous about filming, because there's just so much action and horses and weaponry and, people's schedules and fireworks and so many cast. So that can be really intimidating and really intense for the crew and production, because there's so many moving pieces and like puzzle pieces, and like, how are we going to do it all? Because we only have a certain amount of time to do it all in. Typically we work 12-hour days, and doing all of those 2 episodes was so much work. And I know that they had a lot of things that they needed to work on, but they accomplished it. And I really have to say, our director, Don McCutcheon, who's such a talented guy, did such a fabulous job, along with Jonathan Yap, our DP. Woo, Jonathan. And fun fact, Jonathan Yap our director of photography, he's the one that, like, when you look at the image of When Hope Calls, he's the one who does, tells like the grips and the lighting to really, like, he creates the image that you see along with the director. All the lighting and the beautifulness that you see is because of Jonathan Yap, along with the directors. And he did all 6 episodes. So he worked 2 months nonstop, all day, every day. He truly is like a champion. And I just have to, like, raise the roof for Jonathan Yap, because he is such a great, talented guy and always had a smile on his face. And, like, it was so great. So that is what I think the cliffhanger was supposed to mean. But you'll have to stay tuned if we do a season 3 to see what happened. Another question I had, which was fun, is possible crossovers. So I think that question is relating to When Calls the Heart and When Hope Calls. I know in season 1 there were crossover characters that came into the world. I don't know if that would be possible, just because it is like 2 completely different networks. And so, there's a lot of moving pieces with that, but it would be so cool. Like, it would be so cool to get to work with the incredible actors on When Calls the Heart. I know many of them. I've worked with many of them. And so that would be a really fun thing to be able to accomplish. Now, will we be able to? I don't know. But hey, anything is possible. That's kind of my mantra. So fingers crossed for that. That would be super cool. But if not, we have an amazing cast and great characters, and I'm sure many more characters to come as well. So who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But I can't wait to be able to share good news. I really can't wait. All right, next question. What was my favorite costume I wore this season? I think my favorite costume was probably the party dress. It just was so gorgeous. And there was so much intricate beading, and the hair was just fabulous, and the jewelry. And yeah. And that dress truly weighed like 10 pounds. It was so heavy because of the fabric, and the beading was just so great. And every time I wore outfits, I always felt like, I was like, oh, am I gonna, like, break something? And, like, a couple times, like, some of the beading would fall down. I was like, no, what did I break this time? And can I tell you, I think I'm the actor that probably ripped the most amount of costumes. Like, how did I even do that? I don't even know. I was so, but the thing is so many of the costumes were authentic pieces, like old pieces that were like, 40, 50 years old. Like, I wore a petticoat. I can't tell you how many times I ripped that petticoat. Oh my goodness. Every time I would go into the costume trailer and be like, I'm so sorry. I made another rip. It was just the worst. And I really tried. I really tried to be meticulous and not, but what can you do? You win some, you lose some, but they were very understanding, and they know that I was, doing my best, obviously. But yeah, that was my favorite costume for sure. But I had so many great ones. And I have to tell you, a lot of my skirts were all handmade for my body. And many of my blouses as well. We had such an incredible seamstress that would take everything in. And yes, vintage fashion at its finest, 1920s. That's quite the vintage. Not vintage like 1990s vintage, but 1920s. I have yet to see that fashion come back around. But seemingly we're back in the 1990s these days. Anyway, so that was my favorite. Someone asked, do I have a favorite line? I don't know. I honestly don't remember a lot of my lines. I feel like, we have so many lines in our brains. And then, like, as soon as we're done the scene, we kind of, like, take it, drop it into the trash can, and, like, move on. But the one line that sticks to it in my brain is the one that I say to Mountie Michael in the horse and buggy, where he gets bit by the snake, and he's like, it's just a bite, it'll go away. And I was like, a rattlesnake bite? So it just, like, I think it's more of like the incredulousness of, like, him thinking it's not a big deal, but it, like, actually is a big deal. And, like, that's kind of funny to me. So I like that line. Next question. If there's a season, oh, I already answered that one. How has Nora influenced you? How has Nora influenced me? Um, I think how Nora's influenced me is she has a lot of gentleness. She has a really big caring heart. Although I have a lot of myself that is very caring, but she has a gentleness to her that I think comes from the time frame that she lives in, and she was the youngest in her family, and doesn't have and her family has since passed, so I think there's a real gentleness, a real understanding and wanting to help others that has influenced me. Although I will say that does come naturally to me, but her gentleness and her kindness has impacted me on a deeper level. And also just the fact that you can be both. You can be gentle, you can be kind, while also being such a trailblazer, such a strong, intelligent human. And there's not just one side to things, right? We can be all the things, and that's something that I really carry with me and love so much. There's a great question here. What's your best bloopers of the season? um, What's the best blooper? I think I probably like choked on food in one of the scenes. Like I was like eating at the table and I was like, oh, like I can't, sorry, I need a minute. And I had like, when you have to cough so badly and you just can't because the camera's on and they're recording and you're like, I can't. So then I had to cough and that whole thing. And so I think that that's probably a really good blooper, but also just like messing up my lines and just being, sometimes you just like your brain, like you call it like a brain fart where you just like, you're in the moment and all of a sudden you're taken out of the moment. And you're like, what am I saying now? And then you're like, what am I doing? And so those are the moments that are funny. But then it's tough because once you kind of mess up your lines once, it's like your brain anticipates messing up your line again. And so sometimes you will mess it up in the same exact spot until you kind of get past it because your brain is like getting ready for that, which is such a bizarre thing. And it's not fun. It's not fun. It's fun until it's not fun. You know what I mean? Uh, an actor friend of mine always says that it's when you wear the costume that you fully are in character. That costume is an important part of acting. I totally agree. I completely agree with that. Especially in this circumstance, it takes place in 1920, and I did all the work ahead of time for Nora, getting to understand what it's like to be a woman in that time period, knowing what it's like to be a lawyer, knowing what I know about her, and then putting on the costume, doing the hair, the makeup, and then walking on a set that looks like it's in 1920. I mean, the job was done for me. Like it was just easy. And so I completely agree. The costume really set things in motion for me where I felt really like emotional about it, and it was a beautiful thing. So thank you for that comment. That's awesome. I did not have any hair extensions. I did not. I That was all my hair, and it got curled every day. We took such great care of it, but when you get heat on your hair every day, there's going to be some damage no matter how much you try to prevent it, so that's just kind of par for the course. So I've been kind of mending it ever since. Yeah, yeah, totally. So yeah, I guess that's kind of how Nora has influenced me in a lot of ways. And at the end of season 2, Nora is left with some very intense news, where she finds out that she might be in some trouble and that she was part of something that was against the law that she didn't even know she was a part of. And now she's left on in her home at the door with Mountie Michael, who's now protecting her from this, rustler who's been trying to steal all this cattle, and she just has this really deep moment of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Am I going to get arrested? Am I going to get into trouble? I'm new in this town. What are people going to say? And am I going to be able to follow through with this relationship with this man that I have feelings for, but now I might be on the run? And that's like really deep. And so that's kind of where we're at the end of season 2. And it was a really beautiful scene to get to shoot. And fun fact, the last scene that you see me in season 2 with Christopher Russell, my amazing co-star, was the last scene we shot together, which was really bittersweet. And I feel like that kind of helped the stakes and the emotion in the moment as well. Because, I was already feeling sad about the ending of the season and, not getting to work with Chris for now. So that was really bittersweet. And as most of you know, Chris Russell and I have done 4 movies together before this show. So that was a really, really cool thing to get to work with him again. And he's just such a great guy, such a great actor. And, we've always gotten along so well. And to get to work with him on a series is, gosh, a really big dream come true. So, well, you all, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you for saying I have amazing hair. I try. I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of this live. I absolutely adore each and every one of you. If you haven't seen When Hope Calls, what are you waiting for? It's available on Great American Pure Flix, which is a streaming service if you don't know it. And it's also available on Great American Family. And in Canada, it's available on Prime and Super Channel Heart and Home. And hopefully it'll be available all over the world very soon as well for all of you out there. Thank you so much for being here and taking time. It means absolutely everything to me. And it's because of you that we get to make some beautiful shows, some fun shows, and shows that you can watch, most importantly, with your entire family, which is really special to me because watching movies and TV is something I did growing up with my family, and it was a really special bonding time for me. So hopefully you're able to share that with your family as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being hopefuls. And if you want to see a season 3, then let the networks know what you want to see, because really everything is made for you, and that's what it's all about. Thank you for being a part of this page. I love each and every single one of you. I love sharing content with you. And if you have any comments, please write them below. Subscribe to my page. Mwah! Thanks for everything. And we'll see you next time.